Common Knowledge Podcast, just a man doing the best he can with what he got. I need every Republican still supporting Trump to do me a favor. Shut the fuck up. After this latest Epstein file dump, you need to shut the fuck up. Especially if you claim you care about protecting women and protecting children. I don't want to hear anything about trans people anymore. I don't want to hear about trans women in sports. I don't want to hear about bathrooms. I don't want to hear about drag queens and protecting the kids. We banning drag queens reading to kids to protect the kids because trans people were your scapegoat. Accusations were enough then to ban all this stuff. Accusations. And now there are accusations, and let me be clear, accusations that the sitting president engaged in oral sex with 13 and 14-year-old girls. But Marcus, those are just accusations. Yeah, that's all it took for you to ban trans people from bathrooms. That's all it took to ban drag queens from reading in Nashville. There was no proof that trans people were harming kids, none whatsoever, but those accusations was enough to make you guys jump into action. Just the accusation, no proof whatsoever that trans people were grooming young boys and young girls, none whatsoever, just accusations. You guys made bills stopping that. So accusations should be enough to do investigations on Trump, right? Right? If you're still supporting him, your opinion is moot. You have to shut the fuck up. Now, let's rewind. Not that far back ago. You said you were voting for Trump because he was going to release the Epstein Files. That wasn't the left. That was you guys on the right. Nobody on the left ran on the Epstein Files. And let's be clear. Sitting FBI Director Kash Patel talked about the Epstein Files constantly on his podcast before he was appointed. The Assistant FBI Director Don Bonbanjana did the same thing, talked about the Epstein Files. It was on all these right-wing podcasts. Joe Rogan, all you right-wingers made this a point of interest. That was the right wing. Some of you guys made it a single issue vote. He's going to expose the pedophiles. He's going to clean house. He's going to release the files. And I got receipts for a lot of you guys saying this. Like that has, because I'm friends with a lot of conservatives on the socials, and you guys was going wild a year and a half ago. Like seriously, a year and a half ago during the heat of the election, you guys was going wild, and that was y'all stand. Y'all made it a morality issue. If you ain't for the release of the Epstein Files, you're morally inferior. You don't care. You guys did that. And the moment you find out that Trump is in the files, you start backpedaling. Oh, well, if he knew, he was under pressure, or he would never. Stop it, bro. Stop it. Stop it. He signed the Epstein Transparency Act under pressure. He had to. There was even strategy meetings with him, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Don Bonbanjana, or whatever the hell his name is, to do damage control on this. Like, they had a late night meeting to talk about these file dumps last year. And now he's throwing shit against the wall, deployments, chaos, distractions, because he wants you looking anywhere but that file dump. And listen, if half of what's in those files are true, fuck that. If a quarter of what's in those files are true, this man needs to be removed immediately. Don't go past go. Don't collect $200. Get this man out the paint now. There are accusations worse than Diddy parties in these files. Way worse. I mean, Diddy hired escorts. He had freak-offs. A lot of unsavory shit, yes. But these files include accusations of murder. Murder. Girls allegedly killed and buried on the Epstein estate. That's in these files. Now, I don't know if that's true, but it's absolutely worth investigating, don't you think? There's a section accusing Robin Leach of choking that little girl to death. You know Robin Leach, the man who sold us the American fantasy of wealth? He had a program called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And a little sidebar, that show, along with MTV Cribs, helped convince us that a good life required money. Like, he made it seem that if you're poor, you don't deserve quality of life. And that mindset has let corporations like rip us off and off the hook, and it weakened our safety nets. Really, that show was around in the 80s and 90s. It made these millionaires and billionaires personable. It made them seem like they were normal people, and that has really seeped into the American psyche, right? I lived in Japan for 12 years. And you can live off $12 an hour in Japan. I mean, not balling, but you can live. But in America, the richest country on earth, you can't. Your minimum wage will not sustain your lifestyle in America. You cannot live off our minimum wage, and that is a problem. But if Robin Leach is still alive, man, we need to question that guy. Is he still alive? I don't know if he's still alive, but if he is, man, question that guy. And if he's dead, dig him back up and slap him around. Because the stuff that man is claimed to have done in these files are horrendous. And here's another name that I need you guys to remember. And that's Pam Bondi. She was Florida's assistant attorney general when Epstein's case first surfaced. Like when the first trial was done in Florida. As you guys can recall, Epstein was given a sweetheart deal. Basically let off. That was Pam Bondi. Now, here's the thing. She wasn't over that sweetheart deal, but she could have reopened the file when she became Attorney General. She could have reopened the case. She did not. So why would I believe she'll still pursue the truth now? Why? The truth of the matter is, man, you guys been conned, man. You fell for the con. And if you're still defending this, you've chosen the con. And that's the problem with people who have been conned. You will keep the con going on longer than it needs to be because you don't want to admit you've been conned. That's what con men do. They prey on discomfort. They rely on your fear of awkwardness. You guys don't want to feel awkward or like you've been duped. So you keep the con going on longer than it's supposed to. Like seriously, con mans be quick to say, hey man, you know me. And you nod so you don't feel stupid. Yeah, I know you. Yeah, you my sister's cousin, uncle on my mama's side. Nah. I've learned to say no. I don't know you, bro. Explain. Like, hey, Marcus, I'm your cousin. Nah, I don't think so, bro. Like, where? Who's your people? Explain that. Where do I know you from? Well, we went to school and, bro, I don't know you. Fuck out of here. That's how you avoid scams. That's how you stop from being played. Right now, you guys are moving the goalposts because you don't want to admit, I fucked up. You don't want to admit you fucked up. And you still can walk away, guys. It ain't too late. You still can walk away. You can admit, I supported a suspected pedophile, sex abuser, maybe worse, and now I'm done. You can say that. From this point on, you can say, I am done. There's plenty of people in that boat right now. Joe Rogan, Andrew Schultz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Massey. There's a lot of people who said, hey man, I am done. You can be one of them. You don't have to stay on this train that's running off the track. You can leave. So why aren't you leaving? Just something to think about. But read those files. Don't let anything distract you from reading these files. Trump is implicated in being part of orgies with underage girls. Him, Robin Leach, some pimp named, Venezuela? It's all there. And this came from the Justice Department. This ain't no liberal hoax. Which brings us to Bill Clinton. Get his nasty ass the fuck out the paint too. Like, in these Epstein File dumps, there's a number of images and documents with former President Bill Clinton present in social settings with Jeffrey Epstein and associates. Some of the images are undated and shows Clinton in informal settings such as a jacuzzi and in social gatherings. In an email exchange in 2009, it shows social events including Clinton and others at an Epstein-linked gathering. Investigate him too. Yes. If there are any criminal doings that involve Clinton, get him the hell out the paint. I do not care. I will say again, if my grandma's in this file, get her nasty ass out the paint too. If your grandma's in the files, get her nasty ass out the paint. I don't care. These guys have a pattern of being accused of sexual misconduct. There is a pattern there. We know about Monica Lewinsky. And Trump has credible rape allegations against him. E. Jean Carroll. Stormy Daniels. The man's on tape saying grab women by the pussy. There is enough circumstantial evidence to back up these claims. Don't you think it warrants an investigation? And this is kind of the reason why people keep getting played. Like, you let money and power be you guys' moral compass. That's how Trump got into office, man. You guys thought he was a businessman. You thought he was a billionaire. Wasn't then, by all accounts, he is now, because he's been grifting off the government. You guys will let that slide. And now you have a chance to bring down these rich and powerful people. And you guys are ostriches, throwing your head in the dirt. Why? And let me say again, all accusations could be totally unfounded, untrue. But I think it's worth investigating. It's worth action, especially if you was one of those suckers who thought, hey man, drag queens reading to little kids had to be stopped. All on accusations that maybe, just maybe, they were hurting kids. And the funny thing about it, man, I've been like monitoring all the child abuse stories I've seen this and last year, and most of them came from the church. Go fig. But I don't see you guys doing action to stop that, huh? Something to think about. All right, so I just put out a song called Eat the Rich, and the overwhelming response to that song was, oh my God, Marcus, you're promoting socialism. You're promoting communism. You are a socialist. And let me tell you guys something, real talk. I have socialist friends. I have Marxist friends, real life communist friends. And they'll be the first to tell you that Marcus L-Spade Johnson is not a socialist or a communist. I am a capitalist through and through, but I'm not so married to capitalism to the point I cannot listen to the critiques of capitalism. Truth be told, capitalism only works if you have a strong safety net in your capitalistic society. You need strong social safety nets. I don't know, safety nets that probably look after the overall well-being of the people and invest in, I don't know, mental health research. Because capitalism's number one goal is to increase profits. Like, who I run over be damned. The number one goal is to increase profits, to get more money. If you don't put safeguards in there, you're going to get what we have in America right now, capitalism run amok. And whenever cuts are being proposed, it's going to be the social programs that get hit first. The social programs that don't make immediate profits. Those are going to be the first on the cutting block. Anything you can't monetize, anything that's going to be for the long-term success of the American people that you don't have lobbyists with, that is going to be the first thing to get cut. And government is supposed to be for public servants, but now more than ever, man, people in government are just using their positions to make money. You see right now, the president has stocks working. He hasn't divested from anything. It's that capitalist mentality, right? It's even going into like AI. When we talk about AI programs and AI is going to take your job, you do know that AI doesn't have to take our jobs, right? Seriously, the corporations and our corporate overlords can just say, hey, man, we're not going to deploy this AI technology. But they speak like it's a foregone conclusion. Well, you know, these jobs are going to be gone because, hey, what you going to do? Technology, huh? Can't put those biscuits back in the can. They can literally say, no, we're not going to use this technology. And everybody can keep their jobs. But not happening. Not happening. But somehow me saying eat the rich is a problem, right? And let me add something important to this conversation. Because this just happened and it exposed the whole game. On July 13th, SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration, sent letters across the country terminating thousands of grants immediately. No warning. Just immediately. Happened on a Tuesday. Over 2,000 grants, more than $2 billion just gone poof. The reason they gave was simple and vague. Non-alignment with SAMHSA priorities. No warning, no transition period, no real explanation. Just non-alignment of SAMHSA priorities. These weren't future grants. These were active programs. Staff was already hired. Clinics already open. Services already running. Countries were asking real questions in real time. Do we shut down? Do we lay people off? Do we stop treatment of people in crisis? Then, less than 24 hours later, after pushback, mind you, from lawmakers and public pressure, the administration says, well, actually, never mind, the grants are reinstated. Only after public pushback. So let me say this plainly. They found $2 billion in one day. There's a method to these folks' madness. They're picking particular programs to gut, hoping nobody will say anything about it. And what that letter really said was, and I read the letter, here's what matters. Funding was terminated effective immediately. No corrective action was allowed. Any spending after termination would not be reimbursed. Grantees had 120 days to clean up financial obligation. Translation, we can pull the plug whenever we want. And you have to deal with the chaos. That's not efficiency, that's instability. And nobody wants to work for an unstable government person or entity. And the real question is, can the president do this? Right? And here's the part people need to understand. Congress controls the purse. Congress allocates grant money. The president cannot permanently cancel money already appropriated by Congress unless Congress approves it. And it seems like we've gotten away from that. It seems like people don't want to follow this Constitution that we claim to love so much. What can happen is delay, pressure, reinterpretation, or intimidation, which is exactly what was happening. And the moment people push back, the money magically reappeared. And that's a cheat code to the Trump administration, man. You got to push back. So I read SAMHSA's priorities because the stated reason was non-alignment of priorities. I actually read SAMHSA's strategic priorities. And on paper, they sound fine, right? Prevent substance abuse. I think we all can agree with that. Treat serious mental illness. I think we all can agree with that. Expand crisis intervention. Yes, we should be doing that. Support recovery. Use evidence-based treatment. Nobody is arguing against that. But Then you keep reading, and that's where the shift happens. These folks said they're ending harm reduction studies. They say they're ending housing first approaches. And anybody who lives in America can attest to the fact that most of our mentally ill people are homeless on the streets. You see them walking around talking to themselves. They need housing. Certain community programs, and I wonder what communities they're talking about. Wink, wink. And yes, DEI. That part is explicit. SAMHSA openly states that ending DEI initiatives is now a priority. So let me ask a question nobody can ever answer. And this is a serious question. Can you show me the numbers of how many people were hired because they were Black? Like, show me the numbers. Can you show me how many people were hired because they were gay? Like, show me these quotas, because everybody likes to talk about these racial and gay quotas, but nobody can ever produce the numbers. Where are the numbers? But you know why they can't produce the numbers? Because it's not happening. This DEI panic isn't backed by data. It's backed by a story, a very old story, the story of the benevolent white man rescuing the gays and the minorities who supposedly didn't earn their place. Like, in every DEI argument, you never explicitly hear that minorities aren't meeting the standard. It's just implied, right? They allow your brain to connect to that. Hey man, nobody should be hired because of their race. Is it happening? No, I can't prove it. Then what's the problem? Well, you know it's happening with no data, but you know. The story does two things. It keeps people angry at each other, and two, it keeps us from talking about class, money, and power. And the real problem in America isn't racism, it's classism. You guys are broke. Everybody is broke. If you're looking at the numbers, by the numbers, white folks are the most broke in America. There are more broke white people in America than any other group of people, right? Then they let you think that, oh man, something's wrong with the minorities because they put that good old per capita arithmetic on you. Well, per capita, man, more Black people. No, by the numbers, the raw numbers. White people are suffering out here, but they'll stop you from pushing policies that will help you by saying, hey man, the minorities are over there getting that money. I made an example on my last podcast that I did with L. Maxwell about the American mentality. And sure enough, man, people proved it right on the spot. And my argument was that I could be making $400, you could be making $1,000. And I can come up with a plan that can make me $900, it can make you $1,200. And present you with that plan, and Americans would be like, nope, I'm not gonna do it because you're getting $500. The extra $200 you're getting, be damned. But you won't do it because you're looking at how much the other person is getting, and that's the trick they play on you, man. That's like how all our market dynamics work. Like, people at the job don't get the same amount of money. Everything's negotiated. Our healthcare insurance is done by risk pools. Like, seriously, you don't know what the next person is getting, but they'll tell you that person over there is getting $500. Well, how much did they start off with? $400? They got $900. They still ain't making as much as me, but hey, you should be getting the extra $500. What? But that's how they trick white people to be against minorities. Hey, that minority guy over there who started with less than you did is now gonna get more than you're getting right now. Without pointing out that, hey, you got more than that man ever had. The starting blocks are different. But they won't point that out. They're just gonna point out, hey man, that guy who started out with 400 is now getting 900. That's closer to you. Don't you got a problem with that? But that gives the government cover to stop making policies that'll help you. Just by pointing out that minorities are somehow getting these benefits that you're supposed to have. Unearned, by the way. But we can't get to the classism because the racism is stopping you guys. You guys think anytime you talk about social safety net, it's just the minorities and the gays getting it. And it's not the case. Everybody's broke. We're all broke. Every time there's a mass shooting, especially when the shooter is a white man, we hear the same thing. this is a mental health issue. Every time. But when it's time to fund mental health, suddenly there's no money, grants get yanked, workers get jerked around, systems get destabilized. You don't get to cry about mental health after the fact and then quietly gut the system before it fails. That's not serious. That's performative. This is how y'all kill the workplace, man. And seriously, take note. Let's talk about people who actually work these jobs. Mental health workers. It takes a lot to research this. You need anthropologists, you need scientists, you need doctors, you need people, you need locations, right? And these mental health workers aren't getting rich. They deal with trauma daily, but they stay because they want stability. Government jobs are supposed to be stable. At the very least, all this funding should have been kept in to after these grants were done. I mean, you can talk about if you need those grants later, but this money has already been allotted and allocated. There should have been no discussion. You can't be like, well, we're done. Whoop. No. What happens when funding disappears overnight is good people leave. People are going to leave. Experienced people quit. Institutional knowledge vanishes. And once they're gone, they don't come back, man. That's how the system collapsed without headlines. Now zoom all the way out. I said it before, but I'm going to say it again. America is broke. And not because we help people, but because we subsidize corporations, we fund endless wars, we burn money on nonsense, and we protect the wealthy first. And speaking of nonsense, do you know we allotted $170 billion for a border wall? Yeah. The Golden Dome missile defense system, $175 billion. Expanded immigration enforcement spending is $100 billion. And the GOP pushed for $150 billion. We're still sitting on a massive defense budget. Then we got damn near $2 trillion over 10 years in tax cuts. But there's no money for mental health spending? Along with, student loan forgiveness and anything else that help the common man. And we're talking about giving another $12 billion in subsidies to farmers who are only hurting because of Trump's tariff war? Nonsense. Meanwhile, gold and silver is climbing. The world's slowly hedging away from us. The dollar is soon probably not going to be the default currency. And our trade deficit is massive. So when you see these sudden cuts like this, don't be confused. This looks like we're scrambling to find money anywhere we can. We broke. We need money. I'll cut that. Nobody will care. Find some money anywhere. And the easiest targets are always mental health, addiction treatment, social services, and programs without lobbyists. One thing I refuse to do in 2026 is take advice from broke people. I'm tired of broke people giving me advice. And what do I mean by broke? If you don't have at least $50,000 liquid in the bank and your car paid off, you broke. You broke. I'm not going to take advice from you. All these YouTube shysters telling you, hey, man, if you just think positively and you get an LLC, then you flip your money into that LLC, then you put all these things in here and you can write off everything. I'm not listening to you guys, man. The truth of the matter is anybody qualified to be a life coach wouldn't do it. Warren Buffett ain't out here life coaching. Charlie Munger wasn't out here life coaching. Like, seriously, everybody got a plan on how to do it, but they ain't never did it. Right? We're just broke. Everybody out here broke. And you should be on the side with me. If your car ain't paid off, you need to be here with me. Why isn't your anger the same as mine? Yes, we're all capitalists, but capitalism without a strong safety net, it's garbage. And cutting social programs like this that'll do the greater good in America, it's just plain out stupid. But hey, don't let me convince you guys. Next time there's a mass shooting, y'all gonna be quick to say, oh man, well, why didn't nobody research mental health? Meanwhile, one of the organizations doing that quietly getting gutted. Makes you wonder what's really important, huh? All right. For this last segment, let me just kind of speak from the heart. This is going to be a little self-aggrandizing and I apologize, but I am the type of person who will stand for what I believe in because I remember times where I was scared to stand on something. Like I was afraid to be myself and I felt like I was a coward and I told myself that I would never be a coward again. The stuff I truly believe in, I would never back down from. Whether that means I lose my job or whatever. Like I'm not sitting there saying that I am fearless and I don't make calculated decisions, but I refuse to cower from my thoughts. If that means I gotta remove myself from things, I will, right? Like even with my acting jobs, I am in a position now that I can turn down acting jobs. Like certain roles, if I don't like them, I can say no, right? Because I do other stuff. I'm cloud certified, I'm Azure certified, I have LLM certifications under my belt, right? You know, I do a lot of architecture and IT work and consulting. I do that. So that allows me to say no to certain roles that I used to have to take when I was just acting full time. Like seriously, when I was acting full time, and you guys, I know, woe is me, smallest violin in the world, but there's a lot of mental stress what comes with being an actor. You hear no all the damn time. And sometimes you don't even give a reason why the no was there. Like you gotta hear no, no, no. You're not good enough. Sometimes for arbitrary reasons, like, man, you're not tall enough, or you're not the right race, or we don't see you in this role. You're at the wheel of so many other people when you're acting. And sometimes roles that you don't want to take or you feel sketchy about, you gotta take them. Why? Because you gotta make money, man. Like the life of an actor is a slog. And when you're doing stuff like that, sometimes those principles tend to bend. You can't speak out. But for me, I gotta speak out, right? Because principles aren't just things you say when it's easy. They're things you stand on when you're uncomfortable, when people talk about you, when you're alone on that branch. That's part of being a man. And one of the principles I stood on my entire adult life, honestly, even when I was a teenager, is being an ally of the LGBTQ plus community. I don't care what you call me. You call me gay, cool. I don't think of that as an insult. Right? I don't see gay as a pejorative. Your opinion doesn't matter to me. And most of y'all can't kick my ass, so I don't care. Like seriously, I'm not gonna meet half of y'all and another half, I don't feel like you can't kick my ass. And like today, in the gym, early morning as usual, I had my gay pride shirt on, rainbow flag in the back, and I'm running. I finish my workout, I'll wipe down my treadmill, and a young white kid comes up to me. Couldn't be no more than 13 or 15 years old. He says, "Hey, I like your shirt." So I asked him, "Oh man, you part of the community?" And he immediately goes, "Shh, don't say that. I don't want everybody to hear." And that moment hit me two ways at the same damn time. Like part of me felt happy because that kid felt safe enough to come to me at all. And part of me felt incredibly sad because he felt like he had to whisper. Because that means we're still living in a world where just being yourself can feel dangerous. Now look, I don't know that kid's life. Maybe he's still figuring things out. Maybe he's conflicted. That's not my business. But simply being gay or questioning or different should never feel like a death sentence or a reason to shut the hell up. It should not be a reason to be ostracized or scared. So I paused, I looked around, and I told him, hey man, I know it might feel like you gotta keep it a secret right now. But I want you to know you're normal, you're okay, life's gonna get better. Be strong, my G. And I walked away. And that moment made me reflect on myself. Like, have I always been a good ally? And honestly, I think I have. I do. I've always had gay friends, always. Friends from church who trusted me enough to come out to me, like fraternity brothers who came out to me privately. And I never treated them differently because they're people and they're my homies. Like if you was my homie before you told me you was gay and we was kicking it, why would it be different after you tell me you're gay? Logically, we already been kicking it. Same thing with soldiers in the army who came out, hey man, I'm gay. Bro, we just slept in a tent together. You didn't do anything. Why would I be worried now? And for you guys be like, oh, you slept in a tent with a gay guy? Why don't you do what you tell women to do? Say no, right? My friend Leanne in college, man, she always asked me, Marcus, will you sign this petition? Marcus, will you make these graphics? Marcus, will you help me write this letter? And I always said yes, like always, because I'm pro-rights. That's my principle. You have the right to exist. You have the right to be happy. You have the right to live your life. What always gets me angry and sad is how gay and trans people have been used as scapegoat. Like we're digging through these files, like these Epstein files in real life, and we're seeing real sexual abuse, real harm done to children. And somehow gay and trans people are painted as the monsters. Meanwhile, most of the abuse stories I've read the last year came from churches, religious institutions, positions of power, people with power and money. The monsters aren't over there. The monsters are among us. It's all of us. Like being an ally doesn't mean you're gay. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with somebody's lifestyle. But there are a lot of things in life I don't agree with. But I'm still pro-rights. And the idea that somebody else being gay somehow threatens your marriage, your family, or your life is a you problem. Like, I've gone to gay club with friends. I walked in straight and walked out straight. Nothing happened. I just got a lot of compliments about how handsome I was. I was like, appreciate it, dog. Thank you. And if being gay was really a choice, let me ask you this. Why in the fuck would anybody choose a life where you could be ostracized, attacked, or killed just for resisting, right? What's the incentive? Is prison the only place you think guys become gay? Huh? Like, come on, man. Like, seriously. All I'm saying is this. We need to be better human beings. We need more empathy. We need to stop turning people into enemies just because they're different. Because no kid should ever have to whisper who they are. And that's the Common Knowledge Podcast, updated weekly. Thank you guys for rocking with me. If you like the podcast, man, like, share, tell your friends, and you guys be safe. Peace.